It was hard for West African empires to grow because of the Sahara Desert. This cut them off from trading with other kingdoms and lands to the east. Trade became possible when they started using camels to cross the desert. Camels were fed lots of food so they could survive the journey, and carry lots of cargo in one trip. Caravans, or camel trains, would travel across the desert to trade and could include over 1,000 camels. The Kingdom of Ghana lasted from circa 700 CE until 1076 CE. It was not in the same place as the modern-day country of Ghana, which is to the southeast. The capital city is believed to have been Kumbi Sala. Arab traders suggested a population of 40–50,000 people lived there. However, excavations show a city which could have held many more people. It was ruled by a king, called the Ghana, who was more powerful than anyone else, chief of the army, controller of trade, in charge of all laws and worshipped like a god. However, the king did use advisors, and the kingdom appears to have been split into 12 provinces, each with its own governor and small army. Ghana became extremely wealthy due to trade. The main source of their wealth was iron and gold. Iron allowed them to produce strong weapons and tools, which helped them conquer new lands. Gold, along with ivory and slaves, was traded with other nations for things the Kingdom of Ghana needed, such as horses, livestock and even books. Salt was another source of wealth. It was important as it could be used to preserve meat, as fridges and freezers had not been invented yet. Most salt came from mines in the Western Sahara, usually dug out by slaves. In some places, due to it being bulky and difficult to transport, it became worth the same as gold, and was used as another form of currency. The kings of Ghana even stored salt in the royal treasury. The king of Ghana would tax items coming into the kingdom, and leaving the kingdom, meaning any trade made them very rich. Sundiata Keita created the Mali Empire in around 1235 CE. He took over the lands of the Kingdom of Ghana and expanded them, until it was 3 times the size. It had access to the gold mines in Western Africa, fertile land along the river Niger, and it controlled the salt trade, which allowed it to become a very rich country. The king also used his soldiers to protect trade routes, and charged the traders a fee for this protection. The kings of the Mali Empire were known as Mansas, which means lord, in their language. The most famous of which is Mansa Musa, supposedly the richest man to have ever lived. Mansa Musa was the 9th Malian king, ruling from 1312 to 1337 CE. While he was king, he expanded the empire and tripled the kingdom's wealth. He is most well known for a trip he took to Mecca, in Saudi Arabia. Mansa Musa was a Muslim, and Muslims are expected to go on a pilgrimage, known as Hajj, at least once in their lives. In 1325 CE, he set out on his journey. It is believed that he took about 60,000 people with him on the trip. He took his entire royal court, along with soldiers, entertainers, merchants and roughly 12,000 slaves. He also had 100 camels, each carrying over 100 kilograms of gold, which would be worth over 800 million euros today. When he reached Cairo, he gave away and spent so much gold on souvenirs, that he wrecked the economy, and people were still talking about him over 10 years later. When Mansa Musa returned from Mecca, he brought with him many scholars, teachers and other educated people. He encouraged learning in his empire, and people came from all over the known world to study in Timbuktu. When Mansa Musa died, his son became king. However, he was not a strong king and many of the previous kingdoms left the Mali Empire. It was then taken over by the Songhai Empire.